What is Lionel Messi without the wand of his left foot? Or a Cristiano Ronaldo without the sprint and power in his feet? Hard to imagine how they would turn out, eh? Now, imagine an Eden Hazard without his touch of being a springy, hard-to-tackle take-on demon. Well, the two scenarios about Messi and Ronaldo were pure imaginations. But for Hazard, that was his reality, as the four-time Chelsea Player of the Year failed to light up Santiago Bernabeu like he did with Stamford Bridge, turning it into the famous Garden of Eden. But what had all went wrong? Apparently, the special one, Jose Mourinho, did try to warn us in 2015 about the future to come, only that at the time, we were all too dazed about the springy, flicky performances of the 126-capped Belgium captain to even imagine that his fellow footballers were, in fact, running him down with crazy hard tackles. And of course, Hazard's own questionable football beliefs and dodgy lifestyle outside of the pitch also did not help. But whatever you believe, Hazard's failed 4-year spell in Los Blancos colors was no real fault of his own. He was actually dead on arrival in the Spanish capital, and his reputation as a spirit-free family man type of a footballer was just not going to cut it at a purely commercialized and robotic institution like Real Madrid. Let me tell you how it all went wrong for the Prince of Stamford Bridge. The 2019 summer transfer window was dubbed by many as the summer of fulfillment, when 28-year-old Eden Hazard, Chelsea's undisputed greatest player of his time, finally ending long-standing transfer speculations by completing a dream move to Real Madrid for a club record fee of 102 million euros, with a further 29 million euros expected to be paid to Chelsea if certain performance clauses were met. The transfer was met with warm reception by fans and officials of both clubs, as Hazard had been nothing short of a great servant at Chelsea throughout his 7 years at the club. And for Madrid, they were getting in Hazard, a lifelong Madridista with the talent and skill set to fill the massive hole left by Cristiano Ronaldo in the team's left side of attack. Again, for Chelsea, they had seen Courtois force his way out to the Spanish capital the summer before, threatening not to return for preseason. And so, Hazard's remarkable patience to wait it out until a deal that suited both clubs were struck surely sealed his status as a club legend at the London-based club. But Hazard's dream move soon turned into a nightmare as he was met with a harsh awakening from the Spanish media for turning up for preseason overweight. Then, in attempts to clear the air over the media's attack on his lack of professionalism, particularly during his summer holidays, Hazard's comments rather did make matters worse, as he was quoted to have said that, "I have only gained 5 kilos more, and when I am on holidays, I am on holidays. I'm the type of person that gains easily, but I can also lose quickly if I am careful." The real Hazard faithfuls knew that Hazard's comments meant he was the kind of athlete that knew his body and how best to get himself in shape. But the propaganda-driven Spanish media, who were already drawing contrasts to the supposedly insane work ethics of the guy Hazard had come to replace, felt they had just found the perfect plaything to spurn many clickbaitable narratives about. Welcome to modern-day football, where players are not even allowed to jubilate the success of achieving their dreams of wanting to play for the club of their dreams. Yet, behind the scenes, Hazard, however, took the criticisms in good faith and put in tremendous work to get himself back into shape. Within just a matter of a few days, he lost significant weight, and he even became comparably lighter than he was during his last days at Chelsea. Now, he was fit to feature in games, and having come to Madrid at the back end of 31 goals and assists campaign in English Premier League alone, at Chelsea, which saw him bag a brace and an assist in his last game in blue, which was the Europa League final against sworn rivals Arsenal. Madrid fans expected Hazard to hit the ground running right from the onset, but that was not the case, as it appeared the new Galactico signing was just about adapting to his own light-weighted body. Many speculated that, obviously, he needed time to adapt to the technicality of the La Liga. Others, too, shared the sentiment that he needed time to buy into head coach Zinedine Zidane's ideas. while some too argued that gelling with the rest of the Madrid team demanded patience, as Hazard was not so used to a team of this many stars. So, it did hang around that Hazard's poor start in Madrid was a case of time and adaptation. However, worthy opponents who played against Hazard in England, four-time CAF Footballer of the Year, Yaya Touré, one of them, did make a case of the opposite, as his opinion on Hazard's football highlighted the fact that Madrid forcing him to lose weight was doing the playmaker more harm than good. According to Touré, Hazard's physicality, and particularly his big bums, were a huge part of his game, as the former Chelsea talisman used his big bums to fend off opponents who wanted to take the ball off him. But at Madrid, he was now lighter, and he did not have the strength he once had from his back behind to shield and carry the ball. Purely controversial, but Tour's comments on Hazard's early struggles at Madrid did appear to make a lot of sense for those who revisited Hazard's Chelsea clips. But soon, the issue of weight was going to the least of the Belgians' problems. As in November that year, Hazard entered a new dimension of woes and tribulations, Real Madrid white. Hazard had been gaining some bit of momentum in the league in the last month, having racked up a few assists in the 62nd minute of their fierce encounter with Paris Saint-Germain, with the French club a goal down and aggressively chasing the game. A dazzling Hazard on the night tried to spin away to evade the outstretched long leg of Thomas Meunier, but the result of that brutal challenge was a significant crack on Hazard's right ankle. The whole of the Bernabeu crowd were left in deafening silence as the stadium screen showed a suffering Hazard go down, gnawing his teeth in pain. After nearly 6 minutes of stoppage, an injured Hazard was helped off the field by club doctors, where the whole applauded him for his promising effort on the night. A major highlight was when he nutmegged the match official en route to creating Madrid's goal. But in the director's box of the Bernabeu crowd was a worried-looking Florentino Perez, who later refused to shake Thomas Meunier's hand as the PSG right-back went ahead to formally greet the Real Madrid president after the game. Perez blamed Meunier for injuring his own national team captain, while Meunier held back that it was purely an occupational accident. But disturbing updates on the extent of Hazard's injury that came in later would eventually vindicate Perez's sense of judgment for someone who feared his 150 million euros worth of investment were going waste right in front of his own eyes. Even still, there was some good news for the Madridistas, as Hazard was initially touted by club doctors to return back to team training in 3 weeks. However, that glimmer of hope soon faded, as after that 3-week period had elapsed and the swelling on his ankle had reduced to normal, Hazard complained that he was still uncomfortable in that area. Further tests were carried out, and the results revealed that Hazard's ankle was indeed broken. It was then, at this time, that Madrid's doctors discovered that Hazard had, in fact, suffered an injury of the same ilk in 2017 while he was at Chelsea. Part of the discovery also highlighted that Hazard had a metal plate inserted in his ankle during that surgical procedure at Chelsea to aid in healing, and now, with even more damage to the affected area, Madrid doctors felt the metal plate had to be changed, meaning Hazard had to go under the knife again, which practically also meant his season was literally over, managing only 1 goal in a combined 22 La Liga and Champions League matches. Dangerously underwhelming for a marquee signing. Yet, Hazard was not willing to give up on his dreams, as he famously threw the challenge to Madridistas and rivals who called him a flop. Judge me by my second season. The surgical procedure on Hazard's broken ankle was extremely delicate and had to be done by experts. Madrid found one of such in the USA who specialized in treating NBA stars who had similar ankle issues. The end of that procedure meant that an even bigger metal plate was inserted into Hazard's ankle, affecting even the way he walked and spun his foot. A new development that had detrimental effects on both the psychological and physiological state of the star, forward for his remaining 3 seasons of active football to come. You are probably wondering if something else could have been done. That maybe consult his Chelsea doctors, or maybe not insert a bigger metal plate in the poor man's leg and allow his body some more time to heal? But remember, Madrid had made an investment in Hazard, and with every passing moment that Hazard lay on the hospital bed instead of kicking about on the football pitch, that investment was quickly turning into a full-blown-out donation to Chelsea. The new season, which was the 2020-2021 season, would see Hazard miss the first 6 weeks while still in recovery. But Madrid fans were calm, because obviously it was all for the best, they thought. Then Hazard missed a further 2 weeks after contracting COVID. Then, after 14 days of mandatory quarantine, he tested negative and returned to training, only to be ruled out for a further 6 more weeks due to a hamstring issue. This was new, and frustration and fear soon echoed throughout the Spanish capital that maybe Hazard had become injury-prone. What? Hazard injury-prone? The lad missed a total of only 24 games due to injury in all of his 12 years in both France and England. So, what is the problem now? Why was literally every Madrid update on Hazard quickly becoming an injury update? It is a fact that Hazard's injury record at Chelsea and Lille were great, but what the stats do not reveal is that, aside the Stamford Bridge and Pierre Mauroy, crowds singing and chanting Hazard's name week in and week out, another recurring theme on match days was the socks covering Hazard's ankle area stained by blood. For his elegant playing style of holding onto the ball and making things happen, he did invite hard tackles from teams who spent days and weeks mapping a strategy to take him out. He left England as the most fouled player in the league by far, a stat that delighted pure football lovers. But his medical doctors and coaches, most notably Jose Mourinho, feared a rather short career for the football magician, if not protected by referees. In short, how Hazard had avoided massive injuries at Chelsea and Lille were seen by some as only a miracle, but his body was getting weaker by every challenge, and by the time he arrived in Madrid, he only needed that Thomas Meunier challenge to kickstart a series of chronic injuries. Belgium's national team doctor, Christophe Sass, shared same sentiments later in 2021, citing that Hazard's injuries and the way they occurred, a relapse and healing process, first the ankle, then next the muscles, usually did not have good endings. Christophe's comments might have confirmed Madridistas' worst fears, but Hazard's remarkable fight back that season, availing himself for 21 games, playing through the pain and contributing 5 goals and assists, certainly did not go unnoticed by the fans. However, a semi-final loss to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge in the Champions League in May that summer saw Hazard sharing a joke with a few of his former teammates. Somewhat of bad timing, but the parasitic Spanish media just pounced on the opportunity to kill whatever ounce of confidence was left in the forward, labeling him a total disgrace to Real Madrid Football Club, with some even swearing that his Madrid career was definitely over. With the constant attacks launched again on his lack of professionalism, a not-so-social media type of footballer, Hazard was forced to apologize to Madrid fans on his social media handles. The issue seemingly blew over with time, but Madrid fans, and especially Hazard's teammates, took the incident to heart and stashed out whatever sympathy they had in them for their struggling superstar signing. Toni Kroos, who lived closer to the Belgian, would later reveal that he had no sympathy whatsoever for Hazard. Indeed, Real Madrid's dressing room is full of big egos. At Madrid's University Hospital during the back end of the following 2021-2022 campaign, though, Dr. Jose Palacios seemed to have brought Hazard a new lease of life with the Spanish giants as he removed that metal plate from Hazard's ankle. But by then, Madrid had a new manager in Carlo Ancelotti, who, unlike his predecessor, Hazard's idol Zidane, was there not to gift minutes. Worse for Hazard, Vinicius had developed into a potential best player of the world in that left-wing role where Hazard preferred to play. Hazard was bought to bring the UCL title back to Bernabeu, but Madrid did win the UCL title that season anyway, without him, and right there, the whole world, including Hazard himself, knew that his Madrid career was more than over. The official announcement would come 3 seasons after, but this was it. For that season, though, and the next one after which eventually proved to be his last, Hazard would manage just 30 games, taking his injury tally to 18 in total and 78 games missed in 4 years. He fought through pain to realize his dream at Madrid, but by every count of all his 76 appearances for Madrid, he seemed like a square peg in a round hole. He just did not fit in there. His teammates at Madrid sabotaged him and killed his confidence by attempting difficult pass options instead of passing the ball to him. Could that be that they had lost confidence in him by then? Possibly. And the fact that Hazard was one of the club's top earners, on £400,000 a week salary, while he did nothing but lie on the bed, did not sit well with many at the club. An attacker always needed the goals to boost his confidence, and Hazard would win a penalty with Madrid already 2-0 up against Leganes in the league. But it is the centre-back Ramos who would still make the long journey from defense to attempt the kick. The same Ramos that gifted a penalty kick to teammate Karim Benzema in October 2018 to boost the striker's confidence had now forgotten what team spirit was all about. The football gods would eventually intervene with a Ramos miss, but VAR would give Ramos a second chance to slot home. Hazard just could not win, and right from his very first step into Real Madrid facilities, he was already longing for his glory days of freedom at Chelsea and Lille, where he won 3 league titles, 1 FA Cup, 1 French Cup, 1 League Cup, and 2 Europa League titles as the main man. But that one career highlight he would probably remember always is that 2018 FIFA World Cup run as captain of his nation, where they finished 3rd and he won the Adidas Silver Ball. For a Madrid flop, the usual narrative that rivals and Hazard critics ran around as to why he failed at Madrid was he was a lazy trainer. His former Chelsea teammates like John Terry and Mikel Obi have all come out to mention how less Hazard trained compared to the rest of them, but never did any of them mention that he ever missed training on purpose or came to training late. The thing with Hazard was after training non-mandatory gym work, because particularly at that time, Hazard would be on his way to his children's school to pick them up. He was the kind of responsible husband and father, you know, but the media would not tell you this. And when they say he did not give his all in training, they forget that for someone who suffered so much bruises and cuts from dangerous tackles every weekend on match days, it was only normal that he protected himself a bit more in training. Hazard knew his body better than anyone else and leveraged every little chance to protect him. At Chelsea, they understood this and gave him some bit of freedom, but at Madrid, he was in a sort of jungle where only the fittest survive. Maybe a part of Hazard's personality that needed some bit more improvement was his media training. Perhaps Hazard might have underestimated the rivalry between Madrid and Barca, in the sense that hardly would any Madrid player openly admit that Messi, for instance, is a better player than Ronaldo. But Hazard never minced words whenever he was quizzed about this old-aged football debate of who the GOAT is. Hazard always forgot he had no friends in the media and constantly chose Messi over Ronaldo, while signaling that Ronaldo's goal-poaching game was not what pure football was about. He should have been told that any critique of Ronaldo's game would significantly draw eyeballs towards his own shambolic career at Madrid, because if you criticize Ronaldo, you should be doing better than him then, since you were there to replace him. Like he did even care, Hazard was simply too nonchalant for this highly commercialized modern era of football, where the footballer's life is scrutinized to the core. But again, this is a £150 million we are talking about here. And if you spend the summer where you sealed a move to your dream club, eating too much burger and gaining too much weight, you should be ready for everything that would be thrown at you. Because in the end, we are all partly responsible for everything that happens to us in our lives, aren't we?